The Galactic Council had always maintained one unspoken rule: avoid human space. For 3 centuries, the major powers of the galaxy had given the Sol system and its surrounding territories a wide berth, treating it like a cosmic minefield that no sane species dared to cross. Commander Vex of the Altarian fleet had questioned this policy many times during his rise through the ranks. Humans, according to the limited intelligence reports, were a young species that had barely achieved faster than light travel. Their technology seemed primitive compared to the advanced civilizations that dominated the galaxy. Yet somehow, every major power from the crystalline builders to the hive-minded collective had reached the same conclusion: stay away from human space. The answer came during what would later be known as the Proxima Incident. It began when the Dominion, a militant empire that had conquered 12 star systems in the past decade, decided that human caution was simply fear of the unknown. Fleet Admiral Corax, drunk on recent victories against lesser species, ordered a full invasion force toward the outer edges of human territory. 300 warships, armed with plasma cannons and quantum torpedoes, jumped into the Ross system, expecting to find a handful of primitive human colonies. What they found instead was Captain James Reed and the crew of the merchant vessel Aurora. Reed was transporting medical supplies to a mining colony when the Dominion fleet dropped out of hyperspace. His ship was barely armed, carrying only the standard defensive systems required for civilian vessels. The Aurora was outnumbered 300 to 1, facing weapons that could crack planets. The Dominion commander, General Thane, opened communications, expecting immediate surrender. Instead, he received a calm voice that would haunt him for the rest of his life. "This is Captain Reed of the Aurora. You have entered human space without authorization. You have exactly 30 minutes to turn around and leave." Thane laughed, a sound that echoed through his command bridge. "Human, you face the might of the Dominion. Surrender now, and your death will be quick." Reed's response was measured, almost polite. "I understand your position, General. However, I cannot allow you to threaten human civilians. You now have 29 minutes. What followed defied every tactical manual in the galaxy. Reed began by disabling the lead ship's weapon systems, using what appeared to be a simple communications array. While the Dominion fleet tried to understand how their shields had been bypassed, Reed calmly explained that humans had spent centuries studying warfare, not just as a means of conquest, but as an art form of protection. The Aurora, it turned out, was not merely a merchant vessel. Like every human ship, it was built with modular systems that could be rapidly reconfigured. Within minutes, the cargo hold had become a weapons platform. The medical supplies had been converted into chemical weapons, and the ship's navigation system had become a hacking network that began systematically infiltrating the Dominion fleet. But Reed's true weapon was not technology. It was the human capacity for tactical thinking that bordered on the supernatural. He began by targeting the flagship's communication array, isolating Thane from his fleet. Then he used the confusion to spread misinformation through the Dominion ranks, turning their own communication protocols against them. Ships began firing on each other, believing they were under attack from multiple human vessels. Meanwhile, Reed calmly broadcast updates to both the Dominion fleet and the wider galaxy, explaining each move as if he were teaching a class on defensive tactics. His voice never wavered, never showed fear, even as plasma fire erupted around his small ship. A key to effective defense, Reed explained as he maneuvered between 2 massive destroyers, is understanding that your enemy's strength can become their weakness. Large fleets require complex coordination. Disrupt that coordination, and you're not fighting 300 ships. You're fighting 300 confused individuals. The Aurora danced through the chaos, never seeming to be where the enemy expected. Reed used gravity wells, asteroid fields, and even the star's radiation to his advantage, turning the entire system into a weapon. When the Dominion tried to adapt, they found that Reed had already anticipated their next 3 moves. Within 6 hours, the mighty Dominion fleet was either disabled, destroyed, or retreating in panic. The Aurora had not fired a single shot intended to kill. Every action had been defensive, every move calculated to protect rather than destroy. But perhaps the most terrifying moment came when Reed finally addressed General Thane directly. "General, you seem to misunderstand something about humans. We don't fight because we love war. We fight because we love peace, and we've gotten very, very good at it." The recordings of the Proxima incident spread throughout the galaxy within weeks. Species that had dismissed humans as primitive backwater dwellers suddenly understood why their predecessors had chosen to steer clear of human space. Humans, it turned out, were not just warriors. They were problem solvers who had spent millennia turning every challenge into an opportunity to grow stronger. They had faced ice ages, plagues, world wars, and resource depletion, and each time they had emerged not just intact, but improved. Galaxy had avoided human space not out of fear of their weapons, but out of respect for their potential. They had recognized something that the Dominion learned too late. Humans were not conquerors, but protectors who would go to any length to defend what they loved. Commander Vex, watching the recordings from his command ship, finally understood the unspoken rule. The galaxy stayed away from human space, not because humans were dangerous, but because they were incorruptible guardians who had turned survival into an art form. The Galactic Council's policy remained unchanged: steer clear of human space. But now, for the first time in 3 centuries, it was written down officially, with a single addendum that chilled every military commander who read it. Humans do not seek conflict. Pray they never find you worthy of their attention.